So I don't know how much you've been following FuboTV, but it seems like this company's doing everything right lately. Their stock is up over 350% since the IPO. Their subscriber base keeps growing. They're at over 560,000 subscribers. They've entered major partnerships with a number of organizations. Analysts are saying the stock could easily 4x in 2021. And on top of all this, Fubo just joined the digital ad industry's Unified ID 2.0 initiative. So essentially what this is first of all, Fubo is a leading sports-first live TV streaming platform. You can watch all different types of sports on there. The NFL, the Super Bowl was able to be watched on it, and a number of other sports programs. They also have major agreements to start in the sports betting industry and integrate that into their platform, which I really like as well. But what this Unified 2.0 initiative is it's a new industry-wide approach to internet identity that preserves the value of relevant advertising while putting user control and privacy at the forefront. So this initiative was started by Trade Desk, which is an online advertising processing company, and they started Unified ID 2.0 as a way to make the next generation of online advertising. We spoke about this a bit in my previous video on the other day, so if you want to check that out, also look more into that. But so this is a pretty big deal. FuboTV is looking to not only integrate sports betting into TV, so people could bet on sports in real time while watching sports. So you could be watching 4 different games, 4 different sports all at the same time, and be betting all on the same platform. They're not only doing that, but they're also entering this new industry-wide approach to advertising, making it better for advertisers to have more targeted approach to figuring out exactly what customers they want to show the ads in front of. And it's just a better solution for advertising on like sports first live TV streaming, which is a huge thing. As a result of all this stuff going on, a lot of people think FuboTV will be able to reach $200 a share by the end of 2021. Fubo is a stock that is heavily shorted. We saw what happened with GameStop. It was able to skyrocket, but FuboTV is not like a GameStop. FuboTV is heavily shorted, but they're seeing their subscribers grow at a rapid rate. They're continuing to grow year over year at a very fast rate. They have over 565,000 subscribers. In addition to this, they're integrating sports betting into their platform, and right now they're only a $3.3 billion market cap company. While the revenues are still pretty low, for what they're planning on doing in the future with sports betting, with now this new advertising initiative, it looks like FuboTV is either going to be a major winner in this space and you're not going to want to miss out on it, or it may not do so well. But right now, it appears like it's about to take off, and you don't want to miss this before it really takes off. So in our private group on Patreon, where I talk about the stocks I buy and sell in real time, I do own FuboTV. I own a couple thousand shares of it. So if you'd like to see more about that, then make sure to join our group using the link down below. But FuboTV looks like it's doing everything right, and I think it's going to continue to do this over the next couple of months. But speaking of companies that are doing everything right, stocks that are skyrocketing, is a company called Clubhouse. So Clubhouse is a new US app that it's not new, but it just recently got a lot of traction with Elon Musk going live on it the other day, and with a number of other celebrities going live on it. So essentially, what Clubhouse is it is an audio platform where you can enter in groups with other people and you just discuss a topic with them or anything that you want. And it's just a group that's limited to 5,000 people where you could talk about all different topics. So Elon Musk went live on it the other day, and this prompted the app to explode. Downloads have been exploding, and recently now, a lot of people are talking about, is this platform going to be big in China? Right now in China, there are usually regulations put into place, and this sort of model that Clubhouse uses, where it's an open forum where people could just talk about anything they want in real time via audio, isn't a platform that you would typically think China would like. But as of right now, thousands of Chinese people went over to this app, downloaded it over the last week or so, because right now you can't download it directly off the App Store if you're in China, but you can if you log on to the App Store and you switch to country, you can still go ahead and do that. You could download it. We don't know if Clubhouse like preemptively took their app off of the Chinese App Store, or if it was Apple who didn't allow it to be posted there, or what is going on. But all we know right now is that there aren't any regulations in place that ban Clubhouse app, but a lot of people think Clubhouse may be banned in China over the next couple of weeks or couple of months, and we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But right now, with Clubhouse, it has been a very popular app among Chinese consumers over the last couple of days. And this audio-based social app is growing in popularity, especially with Elon Musk. And I don't think it's going to be able to be in China very long. I think it will be banned, but we'll have to see what happens here. Right now, it is still allowed. But let me know your thoughts on Clubhouse if you guys have started to use it yet. I know a lot of people went on the Clubhouse app for Elon Musk. People tried to get in there, but his room filled up immediately. It hit that 5,000 user limit like immediately. So we'll have to see what continues to happen there, if Elon Musk continues to use the platform, if China's going to ban it, and what else will happen. So one stock that we've spoken about a lot on my channel is Barkbox. I love the company. They have they sell their stuff in Petco, Costco, and Target. They also have subscription boxes. They have more than 1 million subscribers. That's recurring revenue for the company. And they're set to merge with a SPAC called STIC, and it's called Northern Star Acquisition. This has been in the works for a while now. The merger is already confirmed. We don't know a date yet when they will merge, but I'm still I really like this stock a lot. I'm still bullish on this company. I have a dog. I have a French bulldog named Tugboat, and we always get Barkbox toys for him. I don't have a subscription box to Barkbox, but I was always buying toys from Target, Petco, Costco, and I was buying Bark toys without even realizing it. Then when I saw that this company was going public, I immediately invested in it, and I currently do have about a little over 10,000 shares of this stock. I think it is a great investment. Right now, Barkbox in 2020, they had $365 million in revenue. Their subscribers grew over 50% in 2020. They're continuing to grow at a very fast rate because in 2020, with the pandemic, a lot of people got dogs. And once you get a dog, you're not going to get rid of your dog. You're not going to say, the pandemic's over, let's bring the dog back to the shelter. That's really not going to happen. So people got more and more dogs during the past year than really ever before. And on top of this, now people are working from home more, so they also are looking to get dogs. But once someone gets a dog, they're probably going to have a dog the rest of their life. A lot of people, if they get a dog when they're fairly young, they're going to want to always have a dog around. So that's good for a company like Barkbox, which is a subscription box, because let's say you're a dog owner and you get a subscription box once through them and you have it for years. Well, then when you get another dog, you're still going to continue to have that. Barkbox, they have a number of subscription services. They have one with toys and treats. They have for dental products. They have just toys or just treats. They have a lot of different options, and they're growing at a fast rate. One company that you could look at and compare them to is like a company like Chewy. It's not the exact same because Chewy is like an online marketplace. Chewy is an Amazon, but for pets. Barkbox isn't like that, but Barkbox does have a very loyal customer base. And whenever I look on social media, people are always posting about Barkbox. If someone gets a box in the mail for their monthly subscription, they're always posting about it, always talking about it. And for having about $400 million in revenue and being valued only at $2 billion right now, that ratio is pretty attractive for an investor, especially with the valuations we're seeing right now. I think Barkbox is going to continue to keep growing at a very fast rate. And I just really like the company. Their products are great, and that's the only product I buy for my dog. So that's the only place I buy toys for him. And if I like it, the way I look at a stock, if I really enjoy something, I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there who like the same company, and the numbers are good on top of that. So something I really like about them. But let me know your thoughts on Barkbox and the SPAC they're going to be merging with in the second quarter of 2021. Recently, we've been hearing a lot about Bitcoin and Dogecoin in the news from Elon Musk. But there's some big news on Bitcoin because India is planning to introduce a law that'll ban Bitcoin entirely, and it'll ban other private cryptocurrencies. This law has been in talks for a while now. India's had some issues in the past, back in 2018, with cryptocurrency and wanting to ban it back then. But so what India is doing is, in the agenda published on the lower house website in India, the legislation seeks to prohibit all private cryptocurrencies in India, and for certain exceptions, but it will allow certain exceptions to promote the underlying technology of blockchain. They are looking to implement their own cryptocurrency that will be issued by the Reserve Bank of India, and it'll be their own digital currency, but they don't want to be allowing other digital currencies such as Bitcoin. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But in my opinion, I don't 100% quite understand how they can ban Bitcoin or Ethereum or Litecoin or Dogecoin or any cryptocurrencies out there now, because really anyone in the world can access them. They're not regulated by any government organization. We've seen stories in the past about like law enforcement trying to seize assets from people that are in crypto, but they can't, because if they don't have the password, they can't access it. So it's just a very slippery slope. It's a very difficult topic right now for governments because they can't really regulate it as much as they would like to, because it's not controlled by any one person. It's not controlled by any government, and there's no way they can really control it. As long as people have access to the internet, and even if they bought cryptocurrencies in the past, they bought Bitcoin years ago, it could be in a wallet that's offline, that isn't even attached to one of these platforms anymore, like Coinbase or any other platform. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. If other countries go ahead and start putting more restrictions into place, like India is looking to do. But it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Let me know your thoughts on this. And if you think more countries are going to be putting bans on like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and just cryptocurrencies in general, because we know it could take away tax dollars from them, and we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. Another story that I found the other day that was really interesting was that Canada bans cruise ships for a year, blocking trips from Alaska. So at first, I was a little confused about this because I was like, well, how does Canada banning cruise ships for a year block ships from going to Alaska? It didn't make sense because Alaska is a U.S. state, and it shouldn't really have anything to do with Canada. But essentially the way it works is there's a U.S. federal law that prohibits foreign registered ships from sailing between two American ports without stopping at a foreign port between. So essentially, if a cruise ship is a foreign registered ship, which most of them aren't based in the U.S. So if it's registered in a foreign country, it has to stop at another country before stopping in another American port. So essentially, these ships are registered outside the U.S. So even though, let's say, it might be going from Washington to Alaska, during that trip, it has to stop at a foreign port, which would be Canada, in between. And if Canada is banning cruise vessels from being in Canadian waters for the next year, well, then it's going to block cruise ships from going to Alaska altogether. Cruise ships have been struggling. Their stock prices have been down a lot recently. We've seen them start to recover, but this is a pretty big hit to the cruise industry because a lot of trips do go to Canada. You know, Caribbean's our popular destination, but also Alaska is a pretty popular destination for tourists. So most of Alaska's 1.3 million visitors 2 years ago were cruise ship passengers. That means more money for the economy in Alaska, and a lot of these cities rely on cruise ships to be able to pay their bills. And without cruise ships coming, they're not going to have any money from the tourism industry. One city in particular that really relies on this is a lot of these cities in southeast Alaska, where they're port communities that rely on tourism to generate money for their families and for the economy. Last year, And with the pandemic and Canadian restrictions that were already in place in 2020, only 48 cruise ship passengers, 48 passengers, that's it, visited the Southeast Alaska Juneau-based port. That's it. That's only 48 people. So a lot of people thought that this restriction from Canada was going to be implemented for another, let's say, 3 months, probably until the summer months. But they just input a whole year more on top of this. They expanded the restriction for another year, and that's going to have dramatic impacts on the economy in these cities and in Alaska. A lot of people say that they're going to need help. Their businesses and cruise ships and these Alaskan cities are going to need help. They're not going to be able to really survive, pay their bills, do everything, because a large part of their economy is tourism. And without cruise ships being able to go there, and that being the main way that tourists go to Alaska, well, that's going to be a big issue. It's not like Hawaii, for example, where a lot of people fly. Alaska is a place where a lot of people take cruise ships, and this restriction basically cuts off their entire tourism industry for the next year. So that's a pretty big thing, and it's going to affect stocks like Carnival Cruise Lines, Norwegian Cruise Lines, Royal Caribbean, and all these other companies in the space that have trips that go from the U.S. to Alaska. I'll have to see how that plays out, but it's not really a good sign for these companies. If you're invested in cruise ship stocks, I would just be careful with this restriction in place, because it is a pretty significant portion of their business. But okay, that's not really great news, but there is some good news we're having with other stocks, other industries. And right now, Virginia lawmakers just passed marijuana legislation bills, and with these legislation bills, essentially what happened is it passed it passed the House with a 55-42 vote, and it passed the Senate with a 23-15 vote. So it passed both the House and the Senate in Virginia, and with this, both chambers, they would legalize possession of 1 ounce of marijuana or less than that for people who are 21 years old or older, though each of these from the House and the Senate, both of their bills have different start dates. The other things that they have in common from the House and the Senate is that both bills would also start the process of expunging some previous misdemeanor marijuana-related offenses starting July 1st. Both measures envision retail sales for marijuana starting in 2024, and both use the biggest portion of the tax revenue from this legalization to fund pre-K and schools that are helping at-risk kids. So they're using all the tax dollars from this legalization to help schools and pre-K and children who go to schools that are in at-risk communities. So right now, that is a good sign for cannabis stocks. Cannabis stocks have been doing extremely well in 2020, 2021. And one company that I've been talking a lot about, talking in our private group about, is a company called Aphria. And there's a lot of companies in this industry. If you are invested in any cannabis stocks, just be careful. If you're investing in small cap ones, I would typically look at the larger cap, the bigger players in this space, because right now it's still a very new industry. We don't know which players are going to come out on top, but it's a much safer bet to look at these large companies. And with Virginia going to be passing this legislation to legalize marijuana, well, that is going to be the 16th state. Once they do pass it, they're going to be the 16th state in the U.S. to sign this into law and to pass and legalize marijuana use. So we're seeing a big trend in this moving forward in all U.S. states. We're going to continue to see more and more states legalize it, and it's going to continue to help these marijuana and cannabis stocks. So just look at the main companies in the industry right now if you are investing, because it's still a new industry, and it's going to continue to grow, but you want to make sure you're in established companies. At least in my opinion, I think that's a much safer play than looking at other companies right now. I don't know if you guys have seen, but there's another story that I was reading about Venmo. So a couple years back, Venmo, there was a lot of talk about what was going on with how they protect their consumers in the app. Some of it was on privacy data. Some of it was on, they were looking at messages people were sending there and what people were actually paying for. And the government was looking into that. But now the Consumer Protection Agency is investigating Venmo's collection practices. So the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau is investing Venmo over the way it handles collections. So essentially what they're talking about is that when you're on Venmo, if you're a user on Venmo, you can pay and you may not have enough money in your account. So you could just pay using a linked bank account. But the problem is that sometimes these linked bank accounts don't have any money in them. And so what this bureau is looking into is how Venmo collects money from its users. So what happens is right now Venmo has a lot of different ways they collect money. So like I said, when people pay a friend and they don't have all the money in their account, in their Venmo balance, they have the connected bank account. That's one way that they look at connecting money. But also in the past, if someone was scammed or there was fraudulent activities and it wasn't related to you, so let's say your account got hacked, well then they would still require these users to pay, and they would just automatically collect the money and charge the people's bank accounts, even if it was someone hacked their Venmo account. So right now there's a lot going on here, and I don't think it'll affect any users too much because a lot of people trust Venmo. Venmo's user base has grown to nearly 70 million people at the end of 2020. Users grew about 32% during the pandemic, and they believe that the revenue for Venmo will be close to $1 billion in 2021. So I don't think it's going to affect how people really use the platform. It may affect some of the, how you can use your Venmo balance to pay people if the balance is insufficient to pay. May affect that, but I don't think it's going to have too many effects. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with Venmo. Venmo is a very popular app. I have it myself, and we'll have to wait and see how this all plays out. So, anyone who has been around in the last month, anyone who's turned on the TV, has heard about GameStop, AMC, Naked Brands, what's going on with the massive short squeeze. It's been all over the news. And now GameStop, they're looking to make a lot of different movies. We've heard about this, but they're already looking to make 4 different movies and a TV show on GameStop. This happened fairly recently, and they already have all of this in the work. As of February 5th, 2021, they already have 4 movies in the work. HBO has a new movie that they're working on from the guy who wrote Too Big to Fail and co-created Showtime's Billions. MGA optioned a movie based on a book that hasn't even been written yet. So they're talking about making a GameStop movie on a book that someone proposed. The book hasn't even been made yet. So they're just like, well, once this book comes out, we're going to make a movie on it. The third one is with Netflix. Netflix is negotiating with the screenwriter of The Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30 to write another movie about GameStop. The fourth is the writer and director of Console Wars. They're looking to make one on GameStop, everything going on with the short squeeze as well. And there's also even a TV show. So they're capitalizing, all these companies are capitalizing on what's going on with GameStop. People are talking all about the little guy making money with the short squeeze. But banks made billions from it. And now all these other companies are they're going to make hundreds of millions, billions of dollars off of all these different movies on it as well. So, people are talking about the little guy making money, but it looks like the big guy is coming out on top with this. Banks made billions. Now, all these media companies are going to make hundreds of millions of dollars. It doesn't look like the big guy is struggling at all here. And this is going to be interesting to see how many movies end up being made from GameStop. And who are they going to have be the main? Is it going to be a documentary style? Are they going to have some people from Wall Street Bets and moderators of Wall Street Bets talk about it? We'll have to wait and see what happens, but that's going to be very interesting to see how that all plays out. Now, I've been looking a lot into the electric vehicle industry lately. I've talked a lot about NIO, XPeng, Li Auto, Tesla. Something that's really interesting to me. These stocks have done extremely well, and the automakers that have been around for decades have been not struggling, but they've not done nearly as well as these EV startups. So one company in particular is Ford. Ford CEO came out recently. He spoke on CNBC, and he said that he's confident in their electric vehicle strategy. They're spending over $20 billion over the next couple of years to transition to electric vehicles. And he says that the automaker won't cede the future to anyone. He says the time is now. This year, it's not just drawing up plans anymore. They actually are making major steps to transition their business into the electric vehicle space. I mean, why not? All these electric vehicle companies are seeing valuations higher than Ford, higher than GM, higher than all these established players, and they've only been around for like a couple of years. So it makes sense that these large businesses like Ford and GM are doing this. So Ford CEO Jim Farley, he came out and he spoke about their electric vehicle strategy. He said they're spending $22 billion between now and 2025 to help transition themselves into the electric vehicle space. Their first model, the one that they already are working on, is a Ford Mustang. It just sounds like it shouldn't work at all, but I think it has a chance. I spoke about it in my video the other day. But so with the Ford Mustang, it's not just an electric Mustang, it's an electric SUV Mustang. To me, that seems like something that's pretty weird. Like, I think the idea of an electric Mustang is pretty cool. I'd probably look into buying one of those, but an electric SUV Mustang is very different. They say that by making this electric Mustang, it's called the Mach-E, it's going to be competing with Tesla's SUV, the Model Y. They said that they're trying to focus on models that they do extremely well, and they're going to turn those into electric. So they said the Mustang is one of their, main cars, one of their, flagship cars. In addition to that, the Ford F-150 is another one of their flagship vehicles. They're going to be focusing on those and transitioning those into electric vehicles as a big part of their strategy. The other thing, though, that I think could actually drive their business is the transit van. They're working on electrifying the transit van, and I think this probably has even more potential because right now we're seeing a lot of small players entering, electric trucks and buses and vans, and these companies don't have the capacity at all. Like Workhorse is working on delivery trucks. They have very limited capacity. We're seeing other electric vehicle startups that are working on vans and trucks as well. They have very limited capacity as well, but Ford does not have limited capacity. They deliver millions of vehicles a year, and I think these electric vans could be a very big portion of their business, especially if they're looking to go the commercial route, sell these vans to, let's say, Amazon or small businesses, rather than just sell them to, regular everyday consumers. I think that is going to be an important strategy. We'll have to see how that plays out. But I think that's going to be a very big strategy for them in the next couple of years, and it could drive their stock price up significantly. We've seen GM. They've spoken a lot about making dozens of electric vehicles over the next decade, and they're really pivoting their business completely into the electric industry. And I think if we see Ford do the same, we could definitely see their stock price increase dramatically as well. GM stock is up 100% in the last 6 months. Ford stock is up more than 65%. And I think if they're successfully able to become household names in the electric vehicle space, they have the technology to back it up. I think we'll see these stocks continue to rise because they do have the capacity. They already have the brand name. Now it's going to be, can they make good electric vehicles? And I think they'll be able to. I really do. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, but I think Ford definitely is making the right move by moving into the electric vehicles, and I definitely think it's going to pay off for them. And, one of the last topics we're going to go over in today's video, someone that everyone knows if you're in the investing world, he's been all over the news, and that's Chamath Palihapitiya. So Chamath, he took a company called Cloverhealth public in 2020. And recently, Cloverhealth, got a notice of SEC investigation, and Hindenburg Research came out, did a pretty bad report on Cloverhealth. They called out Chamath, they called out Cloverhealth, and the stock price dropped significantly overnight because of this. But in my opinion, I think a lot of this is, not really warranted because Hindenburg has done this multiple times in the past. Right now, with everything going on with short sellers, it's not a good place to be if you're a short seller and in the last couple of months. Anytime you put out a report, these stocks have skyrocketed. Every time a company has said, this stock is bad, we're shorting it, it's skyrocketed. But Hindenburg didn't say they had a position in Cloverhealth. They simply came out and said how Cloverhealth is a broken business. They said that there's a lot of stuff going on in the business that they aren't telling investors, such as the DOJ investigating Cloverhealth. But the good news here is that Chamath came out. He responded to all these accusations. We're not going to go over all of them. But he says that the reports that came in from Hindenburg Research were completely untrue. He said they didn't have facts to back them up, and they were really just personal attacks at Chamath, at the business, and they didn't have a lot to back up these facts. Chamath said, yes, they are being investigated by the DOJ, but he says that Clover works very closely with the Medicare system. That's a big portion of their business. And any company that works closely and works with the Medicare system, it's a standard practice for them to be investigated and have inquiries from the DOJ. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I don't know enough about this industry, but it seems like that is a reasonable thing to say. If you're working with Medicare to have DOJ inquiries, that seems like not an unreasonable thing to happen. On top of this, Cloverhealth, for those who aren't familiar, it is like an insurance business. They work a lot on insurance with Medicare and other companies as well. Cloverhealth is an emerging company in this space, and anything backed by Chamath, really, it's like a stamp of approval. People look at Cloverhealth and they say, Chamath helped bring this company public. He supports it. So if he supports it, we're going to support it. We think it's a great company as well. Chamath recently came out and he said that he thinks this stock could 10x over the next 10 years. And I think healthcare is an industry that's never going away. I think healthcare, everyone always needs to spend money. Everyone always needs to have healthcare. They need to make sure that they're healthy, they're taken care of. Cloverhealth aims to do that. And with this report from Hindenburg, we'll have to see if any of the other accusations come out to be true. But a lot of it didn't seem to have any validity behind it. And Chamath came out. He came out and responded to all these comments. And he did a very good job at responding to all of these. So I don't think we're going to have any issues. I think it could be a good time to get in now that we saw the stock price drop. But let me know your thoughts on it and what you think about Chamath in general and Cloverhealth. And finally, the last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about today is the Super Bowl 2021. It happened the other day, and a lot of people were wondering how to watch it online. It used to be big. Everyone would always watch it on TV, just through cable. But now a lot of people are wondering, streaming is such a big business. How can we watch these major sporting events with streaming? And so the Super Bowl started at 6:30 p.m. and Super Bowl 2021, the official network of the Super Bowl, is CBS. And last year in 2020, it was on Fox. So this year, if you were looking to watch the Super Bowl, you were able to watch it on AT&T TV now, CBS All Access. Other companies that we spoke about that are a little more relevant are like YouTube TV, Sling TV, Fubo TV, Hulu, and this relates a lot to what we spoke about. The first topic in the video brings us full circle. Fubo TV is making major moves in this space. Most people hadn't heard of them until recently. Now you're able to watch, the Super Bowl on them. You were able to watch the Super Bowl on them. You're able to watch other sporting events, and they're looking to integrate sports betting. So, if you aren't already a member of Fubo TV or YouTube TV or Hulu, I think that's going to be the way of the future. We all know that. A lot of just cable TV companies, there's a lot of cord cutting going on. A lot of people are leaving cable TV. I think we're going to continue to see that, and we're going to see more and more users go over to Fubo, YouTube, Hulu, Netflix. We're going to see more and more people go over to all these different streaming platforms, and that's just going to help out these businesses a lot moving forward. So let me know in the comments if you made it this far. You're definitely a real one. But let me know what you watched the Super Bowl on. Did you watch it on YouTube TV, Fubo, NFL All Access, NFL website? I watched it on YouTube TV. But let me know what you guys watched it on. I'm pretty curious to see how that played out. And let me know what your favorite commercial was as well. But anyways, that's really it. That's all we got for you guys today. If you have any questions about any stocks in particular, if you want to know more about Barkbox, Fubo, or any stock, even if I didn't talk about it, let me know in the comments. And if you have any topics, because I'm always looking for something interesting to talk about on here, so let me know. If you aren't subscribed, check out our clip channel where I'll be posting clips for this entire episode. I post those clips the day after, so check that out. And don't forget to get your 4 free stocks, each valued up to $1,600, when you download the Weibo investing app using the link down below. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.